Exploring the realm of governance. Revelations from Chapter 17 of the Tao Te Ching. Within the ancient wisdom lies the answer sought by modern leaders. How can a ruler be as traceless as the wind, yet omnipresent? In Chapter 17 of the Tao Te Ching, Laozi unveils with profound insight the subtle connection between the ruler and the ruled. In this chapter, Laozi speaks not of war or strategy, but narrates how an ideal ruler guides the people towards harmony with an intangible influence. His words are concise and profound, like ripples on a lake, gently spreading and affecting far and wide. Laozi Chapter 17. When the best ruler's work is done, the people say, "We did it ourselves." If the ruler is not so good, the people will praise him. If he is even worse, they will fear him. The worst ruler is the one who is insulted by the people. Where the trust is lacking, there will be disbelief. Be cautious with words. When great achievements are completed and affairs are conducted, the common people will say, "We did it naturally." This chapter divides the people's reactions to rulers into 4 types. The plain meaning is also quite clear. The best ruler is known only by his presence. The second best is loved and praised by the people. The third is feared by the people. The worst is despised by them. When a ruler's integrity is lacking, the people do not trust him. The best ruler is so leisurely that he rarely gives orders. When his great achievements are completed and everything goes smoothly, the people believe, "We are as we are naturally." This passage categorizes the deeds and image of the ruler and the people's evaluation of him into 4 levels. 1. The first level is the highest excellence, representing the most enlightened rulers. The people know of his existence. Some versions write, "The people do not know of his existence," which is incorrect because the people here represent the populace. Know of his existence means the people are aware there is a ruler. This is consistent in the Silk manuscripts and should not be compromised. 2. If we were to interpret the people as not knowing, then the most enlightened ruler would be unknown to the populace. But if the people truly did not know of the ruler, how could the last sentence of this chapter be interpreted? It says that when all great achievements are completed and everything goes smoothly, the people believe, "We are as we are naturally." If the people were unaware of being governed, and they were naturally as they are, then saying "we are as we are naturally" implies that the people below know there is a ruler, and in the end, they find that he has done and said nothing, yet we live a peaceful and joyful life, which is naturally as we are. This interpretation is logically more reasonable. 3. Therefore, the most enlightened ruler rarely enacts policies or proposes plans. Instead, he allows the people to rest and recuperate as much as possible. Point 4. In the early Han Dynasty, there was a period of Huanglao governance, which was similar to this. The term Huanglao refers to the emperor studying Laozi. However, it is not exactly the same as the philosophy of the Tao Te Ching. It's another similar thought system. There is an ancient Chinese ballad called The Song of Striking the Soil, which resonates with the ideas discussed here. It reflects that the common people do not care much about who governs because the ruler also rarely implements any policies. The ballad contains only a few lines. "We work with the sunrise and rest with the sunset. We dig wells to drink and farm the land to eat. What has the emperor's power to do with me?" Emperor's power refers to imperial authority. What does this have to do with me? I am a farmer, working diligently in agriculture. What does it matter to me who rules locally? It's about individuals doing their own work and reducing various complex issues that interfere with each other. Next, the second-level ruler is one whom the people approach and praise because he works diligently and takes good care of the people, thus earning their affection and commendation. The third level is where the people fear him because he uses various laws to restrict the populace, instilling fear. "If you do not follow my wishes, I will impose various pressures and punishments on you." Finally, the worst kind of ruler is one whom the people despise, look down upon, and insult because they believe this ruler lacks principles and integrity and is unqualified as a leader. Thus, he is aware of being looked down upon and insulted by the people. When discussing ancient politics, it is evident that from any era, it has encompassed four methods of governance: moral governance, ceremonial governance, legal governance, and penal governance. In that order, moral governance emphasizes the ruler's high moral character as an example, as seen in the times of Yao and Shun. Ceremonial governance is about rites and music, as when the Duke of Zhou established rites and music, and Confucius promoted governance through etiquette. Even legal governance involves the government enacting numerous laws and regulations to govern the people. The worst is penal governance, which uses criminal law to restrain the populace. In fact, politics of any era have these four types, only with different emphases. The better the ruler, the more they value the first two types, moral and ceremonial governance. However, ancient Chinese society clearly deteriorated over time. From moral governance to ceremonial governance to legal governance to penal governance. This is why there are the four types of ancient politics described by Laozi. Speaking of these four ancient methods of governance, Confucius encapsulates them in a single sentence in the Analects in the Weijing chapter. Govern them with political power, regulate them with law, and the people will evade punishment but will be without shame. Lead them with virtue, regulate them with the rights, and they will have a sense of shame and will become upright. This succinctly summarizes the idea that moral and ceremonial governance are superior, while legal or penal governance may have adverse effects. The Tao can also be used as a reference for comparison, showing that there are commonalities between Confucianism and Taoism. Continuing, when the ruler's integrity is lacking, the people do not trust him. This reflects the mutual trust relationship between the ancient ruler and the ruled. Then there is the term valuing words, which means to cherish speech and rarely give orders. Laozi always remains cautious about speaking because when people speak, they inevitably express their own views, which are bound to have some desires and demands. So, the subsequent text repeatedly mentions attitudes related to speech, such as valuing words, which means to cherish one's words and speak less. Later, it directly says, cherish words, speak rarely, which means to speak less. When discussing the health concepts of Laozi and Zhuangzi, they particularly mention speaking less. Speaking too much can harm one's vital energy. After all, a person is a combination of essence, energy, and spirit. Speaking not only harms the vital energy but also the mind. It is not easy to make others understand and identify with your ideas. The last sentence of this chapter is, when everything is successful, the people all say, I naturally. This is the first appearance of the word natural. In the Tao Te Ching, the word natural appears a total of 5 times. Its meaning is not about the natural world or nature. If Laozi wanted to talk about the natural world, he would use the 4 characters heaven and earth, all things. These indeed refer to the natural world. When Laozi uses the word natural, it is the earliest combination of these 2 characters, self and appearance. So, natural is to maintain one's own appearance. The 5 occurrences of natural in the Tao Te Ching are all used in this way. That is, one's own appearance or as it is. So in this chapter, what do the common people say in the end? The common people all believe, we are as we are naturally, which represents what? It represents that we are originally like this. There is nothing to worry about in the world. So why bother needlessly? We live a peaceful life, doing what we should do. In ancient agricultural society, I just cultivate my field well, which is to maintain my own appearance. Later, when talking about Taoism, it will always emphasize, let it be natural. The natural in this sentence should take the most primitive meaning, to maintain one's own appearance, and everything should be preserved and developed as it originally was. People are the same. If one must do something and take something as a goal, one must immediately have some specific actions. So, the people all say I am natural represents that the people know there is a ruler, and they think the ruler has not said or done anything, and the final result is that we are as we are. In the book of Zhuangzi, this idea is also developed. He said, when ancient people governed the world, the method used was to let the people's hearts go and let them achieve life and change customs by themselves, completely eliminating their harmful thoughts and promoting their own interest, as if the nature wants to do this by itself. But the people do not know why. Once they know, specific ideas and desires will appear. So we can only say here, as a ruler, you can't do nothing. But you have to observe the situation of the people and think about how to do it as a natural guidance, like going with the flow. Let the trend of people's lives have a natural development. You can take the job of guiding, which is more suitable. Otherwise, if you deliberately take care of the people, the pressure is very big and hard. Later, for example, after Yao and Shun, it was you was only managing the flood for 8 years outside, passing by the door 3 times without entering, and in the end, the body was damaged. Of course, this was probably something that had to be done to save the people at the time. This point must be noted when we talk about home. Taoism will always imagine returning to a primitive, more relaxed and simple situation. The place is very large, the population is not much, everyone is living the life they like, there is no dispute between each other, and there will be no struggle or war. But we can think within our own scope today. For example, if you are a leader today, responsible for governing a unit or a company, you can't do nothing. But you have to do at least the second point. Let your colleagues get close to you and praise you. That is, what you do is their wish. In this way, it is easier to get along. Don't let others fear you, even to the extent of insulting you, which means that such a comrade, such management has completely failed. So chapter 17 of Laozi is one of the few materials that can be used to comment on politics, and the classification made inside is very simple and concise, which can be further thought and deduced within the scope of personal understanding. Finally, you can think about it. Have you ever been a class leader since you were a child, or the person in charge of the student union, or a representative of a certain organization, or have you ever been responsible for managing a unit, managing some people? Then the 4 kinds of reactions of the people to the rulers mentioned here, please recall. Which one have you been among these 4? The first kind is to let others only know that you exist as a leader and don't feel that you have done anything, and everyone lives easily and comfortably. The second kind is to let others be close to you and praise you. The third kind is to let others be afraid of you. The fourth kind is to let others even insult you. So you can reflect a little from past experiences as a learning experience from Laozi. I want to hear your thoughts.